So here is the actual state diagram that describes like 80% to an 80% degree of what you're going to find when it comes to leveling as a software development engineer. You're going to start out as an intern in a lot of companies if you just came out of school or you haven't even gone through it yet. And if you're lucky, you'll end up as a junior after all of that. You'll work your butt off for a few years and you'll constantly tell yourself that it's not happening fast enough. And eventually you'll get to mid. That's generally around 5 years of experience. After around 8 years of experience, you'll be considered more senior and you'll probably be in an IC role for a while before you can lead a team. A lot of people end up at this level and stay there. That's it. That's all they do. They just work on code as a senior and they stay there. If you opt into it and you do the work and show that you can actually do it effectively, you might have the opportunity to be a senior lead. Being a senior lead is just a fancy way of saying that you're a senior engineer who's writing code as a senior engineer, but you're also leading other people on your team. And you're doing your best to mentor them and make sure that they can get the work done as fast as possible in the best quality possible. A lot of people end up there. If you've been a senior IC and you're just being an individual contributor and that's all you want to do, great. If you want to lead a team, great. A lot of people just stay in those roles. You're a senior and that's where you stay. Everything else is optional, and it's extremely rare for people to want to go higher than that. Most people I talk to, they just want to be a senior. They don't want the stress of anything else, and so they stay. But if you want, you have the opportunity to be an engineering manager, which is basically a senior lead that doesn't code anymore. And a lot of people don't want to do that because it means giving up programming, and it puts you at risk of becoming, well, unwanted in the industry. Because what's going to happen is you're going to not be able to code because you haven't done it in so long. You're going to forget everything, and worse, technology updates itself. You're not going to be a part of that. So you're not going to learn, and you're not going to be an engineer anymore. The other way of doing that, if you don't want to be an engineering manager that ultimately goes up to a director role, it'd be more the business side, is, engineering manager, director, VP, CTO, CIO, whatever, is you're going to be a staff level engineer. Now, this is a level above senior, and there's been some confusion on it because some companies try to say that the staff engineer is actually below the senior engineer. Those companies are incompetent and they generally don't know what the hell they're doing, in my experience. I have not seen an actual FANG company ever do that. And so if you have an experience of that and let me know. But generally it's intern, junior, mid, senior lead. And then either you go into the engineering manager track or you're going into the staff, principal, or even distinguished engineer track. Now, the problem with going in the staff, principal, distinguished track that you see in the center here is that distinguished engineers are extremely rare. There's maybe 10 or 15 of them in the entire industry that people actually know about and care about. And so the name itself is distinguished, but the role itself is not always. And so one of the things you have to understand about the distinguished engineer title is that if it really matters, it's very rare. And statistically speaking, you're never going to have it. And so if you end up as a principal like I have, and you're looking for growth, you're not going to find it. And that's why I say in my videos that I worry that being a principal is a trap. I'm actually thinking about going back into engineering management and going to be a director again, because I have gone that path already. And I feel like I might be able to have more growth in that path myself. But if you believe yourself to be extremely technical and you want to stay with the technology and you don't want to be in a situation where you're managing hundreds of people, being a principal or a staff might be the right way to go for you. The important thing to understand is that if you end up being a staff, your only option is to go to principal, or you can take a demotion and go back down to senior. And this is the critical thing. Engineers don't like taking demotions. And so the end result is that my flexibility and the things that I've done and the experiences that I've been able to have are only because I've been able to humble myself and be willing to take demotions or go to cross-cutting concerns and learn what I can there and then bring that knowledge back to the other track, which is why you see here everything ends up going into end. And of course, burnout is always the final solution because in technology, it doesn't matter if you're retiring. It doesn't matter if you've got a giant exit with millions of dollars. If you leave technology, they consider you to have burned out. And so I personally disagree with this, but it's great for comedic effect if you're looking at this chart. Keep that in mind.